Good morning. My name is Kate Fronta, and on behalf of First Unitarian Church of Wilmington, Delaware, I welcome you to our online gathering. Unitarian Universalists are a welcoming faith tradition. If you are new or newish to our gatherings, know that you are welcome, no matter your faith tradition or lack thereof. You are welcome no matter your skin color, your gender, sexual orientation, age, or identity. To learn more about us, please connect to our website at firstuuwilm.org. We are glad you have joined us, and for those returning, it's very, very good to have you back. And now, let us prepare our hearts and minds for our time together.
Here we are. Yes, here. Together. Yes, together. Always in uncharted territory. Amid the mayhem, in private thoughts, in plain sight. We seek to live fully, share freely, and understand ourselves as well as the meanings of life. Use this time as you will, or as some of us used to say a long, long time ago, it's your dime.
David, thank you so much for joining us today and being our worship leader. We've missed you. If you have a chalice at home, I invite you to join me by lighting it now. All of us are gathered. Now pause and bring all of yourself to this moment as we, as one community, light our chalice. This simple symbol of our shared bond. In the solitary flame, all of our hopes, our dreams, our disappointments, and our reconciliations meet. We are together, and from this space, we begin again, together.
'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in a place just right, to be in the valley of love and delight, when true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right.
Please join me in affirming our mission. First Unitarian Church of Wilmington is a beloved community that nourishes minds and spirits, fights injustice, and transforms the world through loving action.
Settle down, settle down. Consider the words of Jacob Trapp. If it is language that makes us human, one half of language is to listen. Silence can exist without speech, but speech cannot live without silence. Listen to the speech of others. Listen even more to their silence. To pray is to listen to the revelations of nature, to the meaning of events. To listen to music is to listen also to silence, and to find the stillness deepened and enriched. And in case those words don't resonate, Bullwinkle says, "Eeny, meeny, chilly beanie, the spirits are about to speak." And Rocky asks, "Are they friendly spirits?" To which Bullwinkle replies, "Friendly, just listen."
Now, let us create space for those who might need support or extra care today. As we focus inwardly, I invite you to name those in your life and beyond who could benefit from an extra lift. Feel free to type their names in the chat box or speak them out loud where you are, or simply picture them in your heart. May all those whose names were spoken or unspoken find peace and healing this day.
The reading today is from the prose poet Russell Edson, a selection entitled Before Turning to Other Matters. The dog wore a pearl necklace. Any attempt to remove this feature of its presentation was met by a severe gesture. In all other ways, the dog was loyal and humble. "Why are you so funny about the pearl necklace?" I would ask the creature after a few affectionate contacts with the top of his head. In answer, the hair on its back would stand and its werewolf teeth would come to prominence. "I see," I said, "I mustn't even refer to it." The dog would drop its head and wag its tail in a most humble and friendly manner, as if to say, "Please be careful. There are certain boundaries that the man must not cross." "I understand," I said, "but it seems silly that the boundary should be marked by such a vain ornament." The dog growled. very well," I said, turning to other matters. So, if I can for a second, by a show of hands, who knows where the time goes? When Reverend Roberta Finkelstein initiated the Worship Associates group at our church, she explained to the 10 or so of us that we take turns assisting the minister at the Sunday service every week. In addition to helping plan the order of service, we'd be doing various tasks from the pulpit: welcome announcements, readings, chalice lightings, stewardship pitches over and over, etc. Almost as an aside, she added, "And if anyone would like to try their hand at delivering their sermon," singular, as if she thought each of us were capable of completing only one. I was sure I had lots of sermons rattling around my head. In fact, I have taken advantage of the truly amazing opportunity to stand here before you on several occasions and spout off what amounts to nothing more than my 2 cents. Could it be possible that after 68 years of varied experiences and 1 million or so friends, all I have is one puny sermon? And if each of us has only one story to tell in life, when should we get busy telling it? Well, that wasn't enough. Even more unsettling, what if only one sermon exists and every sermon maker is unreliably narrating just a tiny part of it? Anyhow, I thought it was an incredible offer, an amazing opportunity here within this denomination that emphasizes search, to stand in the pulpit and report on my voyage as I alternately flail and float through life, limping, then flying, falling, then rising. Amazing, because I've always unabashedly defined myself as irreligious. And this is a church. And amazing, because I'm uncredentialed in any way. I really don't know what I'm doing or why I'm doing it. Where else can I proudly demonstrate self-doubt? In any event, thank you for letting the fox loose in the hen house this morning. Several years ago, Reverend Dr. Richard Speck offered me the following thought with regard to sermon making. Keep the message simple. As I edited my Byzantine notes, his sage advice tormented me. Thank you, Richard. I'm not a professional minister. The reason I say that is to let you know that anyone can contribute to this church community in many creative ways. You can even deliver a sermon, or at least a presentation you label sermon. I'm one of you. For 17 years, I have found you, us, to be a receptive community. We are receptive to hearing about each other's joys and concerns, unashamedly engaged in learning about each other's paths. Plus, and this is a big one, on countless occasions, I've laughed at your bad jokes. So here goes my stream of consciousness for this steamy August day. Daydreams. Such is this sermon. I don't know why I think these things in the order I do. Every so often, I also ask myself why you would care about my gibberish. Yet, the act of delivering it today feels like my celebration. It's my voice. As I heard it, I wrote it. As I hear it, I say it. Last September, masked up, kind of in the middle of the night, and under cover of COVID, Kathy and I moved from Wilmington. We now split our time between Washington, D.C. and Ocracoke, North Carolina. Any strategy we might have had to meet people and join in activities in our new communities, taking continuing ed classes, trying a new church, volunteering somewhere or other, had to be deferred or at least greatly curtailed due to the pandemic. Now, as we all sort of emerge from our quarantines, Kathy and I are getting busy trying to find new communities, finding activities we want to do, as well as people and groups with whom we would like to associate. Sort of like when we joined the church. We decided that if we'd like to be welcomed anywhere, we need to be welcoming, make ourselves accessible, welcome growling strangers into our lives, at least give them a chance. I've learned that ultimately people, like events, conform to my expectations. Well, with regard to our move to Washington, our family, including grandkids, or should I say especially grandkids, live in the D.C. area, about half an hour away from us. And some of our schedule is dedicated to them. Our lives are filled with music. We're lucky enough to live in an apartment next door to an opera teacher who plays classical piano and has several powerful students. Lucky, you ask? Other than that, despite all the people we encounter in the course of a day, the majority wear their city faces, happily anonymous, surrounded by the hubbub. So yes, here too, maybe here especially, it's necessary to take the initiative to reach out if we want to meet people. To get our feet wet, we joined a hiking club a few weeks ago. Not sure how else we'll mingle in this urban landscape. But as I said, we split our time now between Washington, D.C. and a place called Ocracoke, North Carolina. Ocracoke Island is 15 miles long. 14 miles has been designated as a national seashore and is uninhabited by humans. The 800 or so full-time human residents live in the village at the south end, about 2 square miles. There's a weekly newspaper, the Ocracoke Observer, and a 24-hour radio station that offers an eclectic mix. Community radio, WOVV 90.5 on the FM dial. It's the only station you can get. We even have eBay, the local version of eBay. No shipping necessary, sellers just leave the goods on their perch for easy pickup. Kathy has a foot in this community because her family is from Ocracoke. Her deceased father was born there, and her Ocracoke roots date back about 300 years. In fact, although many islanders recognize her, they only know her as Leroy's daughter. Like most places, there's plenty of opportunity for small kindnesses. Taking dinner to an ailing neighbor, feeding a friend's black lab, volunteering at the Fig Festival, sitting on the porch waving at passers-by, answering questions about the location of the lighthouse. Our next-door neighbor, Danny, a fisherman, gives us fresh flounder or mackerel or drum fillets every week or two. Nathan, across the street, featured carver at this year's Decoy Festival and still in pain from recent surgery, unexpectedly, amazingly, whittled and painted 2 little pelicans for our 2 little granddaughters who were visiting. I've been invited to monthly Wednesday night meetings of a men's club, smoking cigars and drinking scotch and laughing in a grove of live oaks just off Silver Lake. So far, I've attended 2. Most attendees are of a certain age, not so different from this church's Channing Society. No, I don't smoke cigars, nor do I drink scotch, but I was welcomed with a couple of beers instead. We've also gotten involved with a group called Okra Cats, whose mission is to trap, neuter, and release, and generally oversee the 500 feral cats who inhabit the island. Here I should note that we make a distinction between the real homeless Okra cats and those cats whose owners allow them to wander outside. Except Okra Cats doesn't label these homeless cats as feral. Instead, they're called community cats, as if somehow the community bears responsibility for keeping its cat population healthy. Imagine. The human beings who live on the island don't all support this mission. Nevertheless, every morning, volunteers feed the cats, mixing medicine as needed with the food. Kathy and I have a route, 7 stops where there are cat shelters and food bowls to be replenished. We're new at it, and the cats don't yet trust us, so they take cover until we leave. Then they chow down. Someday, we hope to be accepted by this community too. Not sure why, but this scene reminds me of our own parish hall during coffee hour after a live Sunday service. Remember live Sunday services? I ask myself, under what circumstances I really feel comfortable approaching somebody new. Other daily activities include a trip to the post office, visiting the dump, and picking up trash as we walk the beach. I doubt that these are innately spiritual activities, but they do provide a strangely satisfying structure. One day, I'm behind a tall guy at the dump. I know I've met him before. He looks familiar. I get out to help him unload some chain link fence from the back of his truck. Afterward, he comments, "Ain't you Leroy's son-in-law?" Sometimes I imagine that if I were in utopia, I'd do one thing at a time. Activities similar to these, or that utopia is the practice of doing one thing at a time. Simplicity. Do something, then do something else, and then something else, on and on. Occasionally, stepping back to consider the overlap. Piles of things, strings of things with no interim. People, communities. Maybe the same things over and over, day after day. Sort of like that movie Groundhog Day. Bill Murray awakens each morning to discover that today is exactly like yesterday. Only he can change. He's ultimately able to improve himself and consequently the world as he comes to understand each new day as a new opportunity. I'm grateful for the opportunity to start over every day, any day. The sameness, the repetition allows me to focus my attention on and address the constant little changes in my life, improvements, setbacks, personal quirks and anomalies, the effects of aging, all toward a simple life and a greater understanding of myself. Consider that Shaker hymn most of us know, which was sung a little earlier today. How would you interpret "It's a gift to be simple"? Is coming down where we ought to be somehow an expression of happiness? I don't know. I just know I've thought about it a lot, and that I feel better, less stressed, when my life is simple, structured, balanced, unhurried, and shared. A life in order. This exercise where I do one thing at a time. So here it is, again, my sermon. My one and only story, I suppose. Same old, same old. A snapshot of my process. Just a short glimpse of my life. That's life. Ms. Ogden, my son's middle school band leader at Corpus Christi School in Ellesmere, turned to the audience and announced, "We'll open tonight's program with hot cross buns." She then faced the band, raised her baton, and 10 or 12 notes into it, you could not recognize the effort as hot cross buns. In fact, you could not recognize it as music. Suddenly, miraculously, the noise stopped, and Ms. Ogden again turned and addressed the audience. "We can do better." Again, she turned to the band and lifted her baton, and the band rebooted with the same result. Ms. Ogden proclaimed the band's ability to do better 3 times. It was a blessed relief to all concerned when she allowed the band to finish hot cross buns on their 4th try, though it continued to be unidentifiable. I've learned that if I speak very slowly, pausing frequently, I need less material. Perhaps this signifies that I don't even have enough to complete even one sermon. Anyhow, until we meet again, somewhere down the road, who knows when, that's all I got.
Winds be still, storm clouds pass and silence come. Peace grace this time with harmony. Fly, bird of hope, and shine, light of love, and in calm let of thine tranquility. Bird fly high, lift our gaze toward distant view. Help us to sense life's mystery. Fly high and far, and lead us each to see how we move through the winds of eternity. Light shining, illuminate our inward view. Help us to see with clarity. Shine bright and true, so we may join our songs in new songs that become full symphony.
Being the second Sunday of the month, today's collection is a special one. This month, the collection will go to the Interdenominational Ministers Action Council, or IMAC. IMAC is composed of many of the black clergy in Newcastle County. I am the Reverend Richard Speck and also an active member of IMAC, as is Reverend Paula Majorano, and as was Reverend Pam Watt when she was serving First Unitarian. IMAC has been active in addressing racism and oppression, both in Wilmington as well as the state of Delaware. The mission of IMAC is to become a cutting-edge organization representing the kingdom of God, bringing about spiritual, social, and economic transformation and renewal in the greater Wilmington community. IMAC supports and helps the development of initiatives that address poverty, unemployment, and housing disparities for Black and brown people. Members meet monthly, and membership is open to any member of the clergy in the state. IMAC welcomes clergy from all faiths who share their commitment to serving the African American community and beyond in greater Wilmington and Newcastle County of Delaware, and working toward racial justice for all. During the pandemic, Meetings have been virtual, and IMAC stressed congregations to become vaccinated. There is an ongoing emphasis on health promotion and prevention, with a parish nurse sending out monthly information for churches. Past initiatives have drawn attention to discrimination in state employment, resulting in changes in hiring and promotion practices for people of color, advocating for financial investments within disadvantaged communities, and getting greater police accountability in interacting with Black and brown communities that suffer a disproportionate number of arrests and killings by police. First Unitarian has supported the Black Lives Matter program for several years and held trainings to deepen our anti-racism, anti-oppression, and multicultural stance within our congregation. Many of us are involved in external programs that address racism. Supporting IMAC with a financial gift is an additional way that we can work toward a brighter future for our Black and brown friends of other faiths. Please be generous and note that your contribution is for IMAC. Thank you.
For those of you wondering, how do I give? Here are 3 ways you can show your generosity. You can mail a check the old-fashioned way to our address on Halstead Road, as seen on the screen, or you may go to our online donation page at firstuuwilm.org. Finally, you can use your Give Plus app on your smart device. For any of these options, please note or select that your donation is for IMAC. Why don't you try one of these right now? And now, please join me in dedicating our offering. To the work of this congregation, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action, we dedicate our lives and these, our offerings.
Love once again, break our hearts open wide.
Love once again, break our hearts open wide. Love once again, break our hearts open wide. Love once again, break our hearts open wide. Love once again, break our hearts open wide. Love once again, break our hearts open wide. Love once again, break our hearts open wide.
Love once again, break our hearts open wide.
Closing words are from How It Is by Samuel Beckett. No more head. In any case, hardly any. No more heart. just enough to be thankful for it, a little thankful to be so little there, and sinking a little. At last, having attained the bottom.